Nope. Hey guys. Hey. Happy Friday. It is I, Tiff, and we are here. It is Friday. It's April 1st, April Fool's Day and all that. And you know how we do. Well, I ain't playing no jokes. That's not what I'm doing. As y'all can see, I'm back in my bed. Did too much yesterday. But I see my girl Nick is waiting backstage, so let's bring her on. Hey, boo.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, how are you?
Good.
That's good.
My allergies are kicking.
Yeah. I've had to been popping pills this morning. I tried to be proactive, but it just did not work at all. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to y'all know how I do. I gotta get my phones and my other stuff and make sure that I'm looking at what I'm looking at. So all right. We got a lot to talk about.
I know.
Man, this week here has been okay. All right, here come Maurice. Hey,
Hey, Mom.
happy Friday. How are
Okay.
you?
Yeah,
Huh?
how y'all doing?
Good.
Turn my volume up because I can't hear.
The audio sounds good.
There we go. Yeah. No, it was just my volume was down. I couldn't hear.
Okay, got you.
Why it sound like you at a party?
Me?
Oh,
Me?
Nikki, you at the party?
I'm over one of my girlfriend's house.
What
Let me put this mute on.
How do you do that? She be at restaurants. She at girlfriends' houses. She like, wait a minute, hold on, y'all. Give me about an hour 15, and then I'll be back.
That's my life. You know, I'm always at work, so I fit everything in. Try to.
Try to get it all in, right? Wait a minute, hold on, y'all. Let me go off. All right, my bad. I don't know what's up with better, but we're gonna get this started because after a while our time started getting away from us, and then we trying to figure out how we gonna cram everything in. So
Right.
today is April 1st. It is the beginning of Autism Awareness Month. And so what I wanted to do was pay homage, of course, and kind of talk about it. It's different things with autism. But of course, with our show, we talk about dating, we talk about relationships. So we're gonna talk about how we how it affects relationships, and just different parts of it. So our special guest is someone that's very special to me. She helped me out a lot, like a lot. But before I do that, let's get into these they go better. All right, hold on. Listen, we was about to get started without you, bruh.
I ain't got a problem with that.
I need you to set an alarm in your phone or something.
No, that wasn't the issue. My phone was dying. I had to put it on the charger for a second. And then I was downstairs and the kids, they in the basement. I told them don't come upstairs. I'm about to do the podcast. They came right upstairs 2 seconds later.
Daddy.
No, they wasn't even bothering me though. They just came up there running and shit. So excuse my language.
Use your language, sis. When we excusing your language?
No, we got a very important show tonight. We not
Right.
on that tonight.
Well, before we get into before we get into this, we're gonna get into some ratchet stuff. So we're gonna get into our what we do, because we got a couple of things, we got to keep this thing going for a little bit, right? So I've been playing around. I'm trying to get this together. So first up is our word.
Hot topic.
Yeah.
You fancy, huh? You fancy.
Hey. All right,
fancy.
I'm getting it, girl. I'm getting it. I told y'all about it. Man, I'm gonna have it together.
And
man,
I see that let's talk about it in the corner.
Yeah, you just peeped that. I've been there for about 3 weeks now. I've been figured that
For
out.
real?
I've been figured that out.
I never saw that.
All right, so of course, we're not gonna drag this out at all, but we wouldn't be us if we did not discuss the Will Chris Rock smack on the Oscars, stuff like that. So we gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about it. We don't have to drag it out. Everybody has talked about it. Everybody has dragged it out. But it kind of goes with our show because he was defending his wife. So let's just talk about, and I can't wait to hear Maurice's side to this. Oh, I've been waiting. I have been waiting to hear. I can't hear you, Mo.
Let him
No,
go
I'm
first then.
just thinking. I'm just thinking.
You
That's
just
all.
thinking? All right,
Yeah,
well,
I wasn't expecting to
Well,
be highlighted.
oh, you didn't expect to be highlighted? Well,
Nah.
let's just all right. So this is right here, right here. All right, here we go. Boom.
Tiff
Oh,
real fancy tonight, y'all. She real
Right.
yeah.
fancy.
I'm
I know
getting
this.
it.
Okay.
Y'all should be proud of
Okay.
me. Y'all
She
proud of
real
me.
fancy.
Y'all proud of me.
Very
Yes.
proud.
Yeah.
You doing good. Doing good, girl.
All right. So what y'all
Here's
think about
here's
that?
my opinion on it. Here's
All
my
right.
opinion on the whole situation, right? Jada is the toxic force behind this.
Woo!
I think Jada has pushed Will over the edge. You could tell he wasn't comfortable with that situation. If he laughed at first, then he checks her, she was feeling some type of way, then he reacted. So they already had some sort of discussion. And
Mm-hmm.
she probably said, "Hey, if this happened and you don't XYZ, blah blah blah." Because I don't know, I just think Jada was behind it. That I don't think that's Will's characteristics. I think it was out of pocket. I mean, was it right or wrong? I'm with Plies. Y'all saw Plies mean, right?
No,
No,
what he say?
what was his?
No,
What was
Plies
his?
basically said,
I think he said something like what I said on my post.
"What? What did you say? Better."
About what I said was because he said, keep my wife name out your fucking mouth. I was like, well, August had her name, her titties, her pussy, and everything in her mouth, in his
Wrong.
Yeah,
mouth, and he
Wrong.
ain't do
Plies
shit
was
about that.
basically like, he was like, "I ain't defending no woman. I ain't the only one fucking."
Right, exactly. That's what he said. Yeah.
So
Well, okay. Go ahead, Maurice. Let me hear what you gotta say.
I thought it was. I thought it was out of pocket. I thought that what he wasn't warranted putting his hands on somebody for a joke. That's what comedians do. That's why they invite comedians to the Oscar to keep the participants at a to make light of their situation. You know what I'm saying? These people are the elite of the elite when it comes to entertainment. And just to keep them in the perspective, they use comedians to make fun of them and things of that nature. And for him to, I guess, be touched, or no, for his wife to be touched by that to the point where he reacted the way he did, I just thought it was incorrect. It was like, it's funny because the more I see it, the more I'm kind of like appalled by it, because I know I've been a fan of Will since the beginning. I've been a fan of Chris Rock since the beginning. So to see two gentlemen that I'm fans of, something like that goes down, it's just like wow. And then then on top of that, they're brothers, you know what I'm saying? They're black men who, at a time when Will Packer was producing this, and it's the first time that blacks produced the Oscars or whatever, and then we get a little stain on the on the night because of that. I just found it to be I was very uncomfortable with the situation, very uncomfortable.
And see, and this is what I'm saying right here, right? So I'm kind of neutral when it comes to it, I guess, right? And I say neutral only because I thought I had something else up here. I only say neutral because um I understand where Will was, right? I understand how he felt in that moment because at first he laughed at it, right? At first he laughed, but when he looked over and he saw Jada was hurt by it, then it's like, all right. So I don't know if y'all see the men is kind of different with y'all. Women, our hair is our thing, right? So it's one thing if we're just cutting it off, but it's another thing when you have to cut it off, right? So, example, my sister had breast cancer. My sister, if you know her, and I'm not gonna name her name, but if you know her, she always kept a fly haircut, right? Always kept it cut. She'll cut it real short, curl it up real cute. Oh my God, it's beautiful, right? I always been jealous of her hair because she had thick hair all the time. But when she cut it down, it's beautiful, right? When she went through her chemo, she started losing her hair. My sister broke down twice with this breast cancer thing that I know of. When she told me, because I cried, and when she started losing her hair. That was it. So, and at first, she was like, "Oh, I because everybody know when you had chemo, your hair gonna come out." So she was like, "I'll just cut it down. I ain't worried about it." But when it started falling out, and reality started sitting in, and it was nothing she could do about it, it broke her down inside. And she one of the strongest women I know, right? So with Jada having this alopecia thing, whether Chris knew about it or not, we don't know what she went through to get dressed for the Oscars, actually go out in public. This is my husband, big night. I'm going to go ahead and go, because she had to cut her hair. But on the other side, I agree with Nick, where this lady is so fucking toxic for Will. Every negative thing that has happened with him has been because of her. He a positive dude, always been a positive dude. But every negative thing, and this is just my opinion, every negative thing, it's been because of her. The August thing, the everything, just like, God damn, like, when you gonna stop hurting this man? You know? So, and then when it gets to the comedian thing, it's like some things you just don't have to do. This is not his first time fucking with them at the Oscars. So at this point, they feeling like he picking on them. And then it wasn't like they went to a comedy show and was in the front row and, oh man, you gonna get picked on because you in the front. No, they was at the Oscars. And out of all these people in here, and you didn't already mess with us at one Oscar, why you gotta keep messing with us again? So I just feel like they both was wrong with that. But now it's almost like they trying to cancel Will or whatever. I don't know. It's crazy, but I've been all over the place, but I really haven't said anything publicly because I don't want to get into no debates about it. I'm not doing all of that.
Gotcha.
All right. Sorry.
You just got into one just now, because
I mean, I could do that. I could do that here.
What you just said to me is like you was kind of justifying it a little bit,
right?
And that don't make no sense.
Not justifying.
They was at the Oscars, regardless of, it's not a fucking nightclub or a comedy venue, but that's what they do at the Oscars. That's why he did it to him before, because that's what he does, and everybody else does at the Oscars. They pick
so
with
you
the crowd.
saying that it's okay for him to keep picking and picking and picking and
he
picking
didn't just
and
pick
picking
at them. No, that just was that one clip.
Yes, he
That's
cracked
one
jokes on
clip. He picked
everybody.
with everybody in the crowd.
Yes,
I ain't see him crack
And
it
when
at
he picked at
everybody.
them
And I
last
watched
time,
it live.
hold on. But last time he didn't pick at them. They weren't there. He said something about Jada saying she was boycotting.
Right.
But they weren't there. So that's not him keep picking on them.
No.
He was basically saying that boycott. He was basically saying her boycott wouldn't mean nothing.
What did Will say? Just keep my. I feel like Will should have said that and left it alone. He should not have got up on that stage. He should have said, "Leave my wife's name out your mouth," but not in the middle of the show. He should have went in the back and said something to that man that way.
Right.
I also agree with
if
Mo.
He wanted to.
If
he chose to, yeah.
No, that's what he. I agree with Maurice, when he said this was Will Packer's night. This was Will Packer's night. And then the Oscar.
Will he get another one?
I don't know.
See?
But this is the thing. The Oscar that Chris was introducing, Questlove won.
It was for, it was for.
Yeah, it was he won the documentary.
Yeah, documentary.
And that shit got overshadowed because Will got up out of his seat. So I'm not justifying anything. I do say that he's dead ass wrong. I'm looking at both sides of the coin. I just don't have enough time to go into both sides of the coin. But that was just what was on the forefront of my brain. That's
my personal opinion was the shit shouldn't have never happened.
Right.
They fucking not only shunned out Questlove's win, but also fucking Samuel Jackson shit wasn't even aired.
They didn't even put that on.
Denzel gave him his award. We ain't even see that or hear nothing about it. I just learned that today.
Yep.
You dig what I'm saying? And that man deserved more than one Oscar.
Yeah.
But
Right. He
my
should have
initial
been had it.
opinion for the whole thing, and I still feel like that was some WWE shit. That shit wasn't even real.
I felt that way too. I felt that way
I
too.
truly believe that even though they're stretching it out, you know, Chris is doing what he's doing. He's talking about, you know, still dealing with it. He haven't grasped the idea that it really happened yet. Will is issuing these apologies. The
Not
Oscars,
to mention
they trying to drop Will from the Oscar thing. Or
Chris's
they did, I think.
tickets doubled. They sold out and they
His tickets did double.
tickets.
Yes,
$40
yes.
tickets. Actually, it did more than double. $40 tickets went
300 and something.
Yep.
It was like 341 last I looked.
So my thing, I still feel like it was bullshit because I saw when I first saw it, it didn't look like he really slapped him. It looked like one of them fucking wrestling slaps, like when they stomp their feet on the ground.
It did.
And whatever. And the way he braced and waited for him to come up there. Richard.
Yeah.
When he said Richard, I actually thought he was calling his bodyguard. Then I realized King Richard from the movie. Yeah. So he's calling him Richard from King Richard. And then he stands there laughing. Chris' face already crooked. So he probably ain't really hit him good anyway, because his chin already go that way. But it's just like the way he did that shit.
It was weak.
And the way
it was real weak.
It was super weak. Because he should have knocked him out. He played Ali, right?
Right. That's what they
said.
My
thing is, you stand there, you see a man walking from a mile away. He got to go that way first, then come up the steps, then come back to you. You stand there and wait, put your hands behind your back, hold your chin out, and then say, oh, Will just smack the shit out of me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that fake ass bullshit. I didn't buy it. And I still
the end of the night, he won his Oscar.
Yeah.
And
they saying they might make him give it back though.
They might make him give it back, but you know. All right, so real quick, switching gears because we gotta keep it going. Last night, the culture tour.
We could have stayed on that and left that alone.
We ain't staying on that.
You the only one went. You the only one went. Nobody
That's not true. That is not true. Who else on this panel went to that show?
Oh, Maurice.
I saw Maurice in line. So look at me. This is my second shirt. You see it?
Don't lie. That's the one you had on last night. Sweaty.
No, it's not. My one last night was a lot of bling. Don't play with me. But my boy is highlighted. So my quick rundown was that was one of the best concerts I've ever been to. Jodeci, they sang in tune. They were like, oh my God. Like, they didn't sound like they was on drugs. They didn't sound like they was high or drunk. I heard they were clean. Their notes were in tune. It sounded like the actual radio or the record. Charlie, he had 2 knee surgeries, but he still showed up. He did his thing. He danced around a little bit, and then of course my boys just kind of just took it over. So it is what it is right there. Wait a minute. My daughter didn't do something that she was supposed to do. Maurice, give your take on it.
Oh, without a doubt. Next to probably when I went to see Prince, probably the best concert I've ever been to, man. They killed it. All 3 acts killed it. I don't know what they took to put them in position so that they can make DC probably their best concert of their whole tour. But I think that's what they did, man. I love the way New Edition was in and out between the different solo acts and then group acts, the way they did their songs, man. I've seen New Edition about 4 times in concert, and I've never seen them do it to that magnitude. That was $250 for 2 tickets on well spent. That was well spent, man.
Absolutely amazing. I had a ball. I think I might go on tour with them and go ahead and go and see it a couple of other places.
Not go on tour with them.
Yeah, at this point, I just need to go ahead and just see every show because I'm like, I was hyped. And y'all see, well, y'all can't see because I've been changing my background. My ass is in my bed. Whew,
I'm super impressed by your backgrounds. I'm like, hey.
Look at me. Yes, but I had a long day. I couldn't rest. After I dropped the twins off, I had to take my grandma to the doctor. She's a trip. And then yeah, so all right, so let's get into it now. So April is Autism Awareness Month, and we have our special guest, Toya Critchlow, who there we go. Wait a minute, hold up. Y'all know I'm working it out. She is a Shaw University grad as well. She has a 23-year-old son. His name is Kai. Kai is an awesome young man. He's a senior at North Carolina A&T, graduating this May. Like I said, when my son got diagnosed, or when I even before he got diagnosed, she was my go-to because I always seen what she did online. Like she's always posting Kai's account. When I tell y'all, Kai's freaking amazing, and it has a lot to do with his parents, so she's just been on it. So whenever I think of autism, she's always the first person that comes to mind because I don't know what I would have done without her. Just giving me encouragement and telling me what to do and where to go and all the rest of that stuff. So let you guys meet this awesome woman. Hello, Toya. Good. Your sound is off. Do you have your phone near you or something? Press mute on your phone, maybe. It's still a little off, so do me a favor. I want you to go out and come back in, and we're gonna try it again because it sounds weird. Okay. So while she gets that together, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna discuss life with autism. Toya is gonna give us a little rundown on how nobody told me I left the O out in my hot topics, but it's all good. It's all good.
Quick footnote: if I'm not mistaken, isn't Chris Rock autistic?
I've never heard that.
Yes,
Okay.
I saw
Okay.
that. He's
I've heard that before.
what did they
He's
call?
not
Let me
autistic.
tell you. Give me a second.
Asperger's?
No, it was something slight on the spectrum. Let me see.
Yeah.
That explains a lot then, because he talked about how when he was younger and the bullies
He was
and
bullied.
that
Stuff
brick
like
in that
that.
book bag and he fucked them people up. That explains a lot because
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
they are so quiet.
He has a non-verbal learning disorder.
Okay.
Okay.
It says, let's see,
Performance.
NVLD diagnosis.
Okay.
Yeah, somebody else
Um,
in the LD. Not sure who that is. Y'all know if y'all don't give StreamYard permission to access your Facebook, I can't see your name. It's gonna say Facebook user every time. So I try to go back and forth, but this thing is on so many different things that somebody said what they say he has.
it
I don't
says he saw a doctor and underwent a cognitive test for 9 hours. The results was a diagnosis for a nonverbal learning disorder. The crux of it is that he has a tremendously difficult time with nonverbal signals.
could explain the look that he didn't get on Jada's face. Maybe he didn't read that room too well. Yeah.
She was laughing and she only rolled her eyes. She didn't.
No.
I saw it, and then
Just
I
like
thought,
no.
I saw it too, but I mean, based on what Nick just read, that explains a lot.
no. I ain't talking about what Chris. I'm just saying the whole fake shit about Will saying that she was upset. She was laughing and then she rolled her eyes like.
But y'all do know they had a history. Something happened with
And
them
then it was
too
like,
back in
then I just
2016.
saw
Yeah,
another.
you went off the
He told
camera.
a joke. He told a joke.
Shit ain't I mean better ain't he ain't feeling that. I already brought that up. He wasn't feeling that.
Yeah, then my man bought the side. My man just showed the side of another angle that they put out now from behind Will and Jada
Yeah, I
and
saw
went
that.
after the smack, and he was like, Will just smacked the shit out of me, and she
Right.
just was like chuckling. It wasn't like it was
Yeah,
like it was
because
all
I
fake and
think they
funny.
said everybody is speculating, but we all for that. We all for that. Toya's back. Let's see. Let's see. All right, Toya. Let's see. Testing 1, 2, 3.
All right, can you think you can hear
Oh
me?
yes, there
All
you
right,
go.
good. Sorry, it was probably the headphones and this computer. So how's everyone doing?
Good.
Fine,
How
how
are
are
you?
you?
Good,
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 good.
good.
Welcome to the
Much
show.
better, much better now.
Mm-hmm.
So
So I
tell
was
us a
enjoying
little
the
bit about you.
conversation. I'm
I
sorry.
know, right? We'll go on, and next thing you know, we'll be like, "Dang, Toya, we gotta bring you back next week because
Right.
we'll we'll keep going, man. We be getting into it. You see, better. He just he keep poking that bear. I'm a will him.
Right, I'm gonna have to call you Arsenio after that,
I'm a
right?
Mike Tyson, your ass, you will be.
You gonna
Or
bite
bite
my
your
ear
ear
off?
off.
God,
Yep.
dog, man, they ain't but so big. Leave them alone. Sheesh. Okay, Toya. So tell us a little bit about you and your absolutely amazing son Kai, and then we'll get into a couple of questions. And like I told you before, this is all on you. Whatever you don't want to answer, you can redirect us.
Well, I thought about it. You know, I had to pray on it. I was like, first of all, I haven't seen you in person in a good like 3, 4 years now. That's ridiculous. That's
I
way
know,
too long. So we got to fix that.
right?
But then I said, you know, this is my girl. Everything you want to ask me, I'm here. I'll answer it. So um, you mentioned that I've been in this for 23 years. So I have a son, as Tiffany mentioned, his name is Kai. He was diagnosed with autism when he was about 2 years old. And the interesting thing about the diagnosis is that I had to really push for him to get tested. I always knew that there was something there. I always knew that there was his development was a little off. So I had to kind of battle with his doctors to even get him tested. And I think his pediatrician went ahead and got him tested just to kind of shut me up. So she didn't believe anything was wrong. She said he's probably just going to be a late bloomer. And I'll give you an idea of what it was that I was looking at. He was not verbal.
Mm-hmm.
So those of you who have kids, if you're thinking about a 2-year-old and how much they communicate verbally on a day-to-day basis, he's my first child, so I didn't have anything to really compare it to, but I knew something was off. He was in daycare, and those kids, they were wired. They talked nonstop, and I never really heard him say anything. And so, based on my observations, I had to really push for his pediatrician to do a hearing test. I initially thought he might have a hearing problem,
Right.
and they again kind of dismissed it. And Tiffany, you and I talked about what that feels like. You know, when you're having to advocate for your child, and you're going against people who are supposed to be medical experts, and
Right.
they've been doing this for years, but as a first time mom, I said, no, my gut feeling is telling me that there's something there. So again, she had him tested just to kind of shut me up. And sure enough, the tests were conclusive that he is on the spectrum. And so immediately we started with early intervention. So I was lucky in that his daycare provided a lot of resources that we needed for him to get the speech therapy, occupational therapy, early intervention,
Mm-hmm.
all of the therapies really. And they gave them to him early so that we were able to adapt to a lifestyle of becoming a special needs caregiver. So as a single mom, that meant that in addition to having to work a 9 to 5 and really make sure that I exposed my child to the best that I could afford to expose him to, that meant that I really had to learn more about this disability that was brand new to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that took a while.
Well, okay, so with that right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
What how did that affect your relationship with say Kai's dad? Because I know with my son,
Mm-hmm.
uh we argued a lot. So I noticed it when he was about 2 as well. But unlike Kai, Drew is a twin. So he has a girl
Yeah.
twin.
Mhm.
And so they're saying, oh, boys develop slower than girls, he'll catch up or whatever. But for me, I started blaming his dad. So I started saying, if you would throw a football with him, maybe
Mhm.
he'll know how to catch it. If you would take him to the barbershop, maybe he wouldn't be so afraid of the barbershop. If you would have
Right.
done this, you would have done that. Maybe if you would have helped him, because I taught him how to pee standing up. I taught him
Mhm.
because he used to sit on the toilet. Sometimes he still do.
Right.
But so it was like I started blaming my ex instead of looking deeper into it, which
Mhm.
I admit to this day that I was wrong with about that, but it affected our relationship because we argued a lot, because in that time I thought that it was his fault that the boy wasn't doing boy things because he wasn't spending time with him. This is your only son, spend some time with him. And so me being in that moment, I was like, dang, that's not. But now I'm like, that wasn't fair to him. So how did
No,
that?
you gotta give yourself some grace, Tiffany, because the thing is, you didn't know what you didn't know.
Right,
So you could not have predicted early on. Now you're talking about when Drew was 2 years old. He wasn't diagnosed when he was two.
right. He was
He
diagnosed at
had
7.
yeah, exactly. There was some years between when you noticed that there was something and when he was actually diagnosed. And those two things were not in your control. You didn't have any control over that. You,
Right,
as a mom, all you knew was to act on what you wanted to see happen in your child's life.
right.
So, to go back to your question, Kai's dad has always been really, he's been there for him, right?
Hmm.
We were super young
Yeah,
when Kai was born. Like Kai was born almost a year to the day after I graduated from Shaw. So we were extremely young, very inexperienced. So when you're taking that that level of development where you're still developing as a young adult, you are laden with responsibilities, not just taking care of your child, but just kind of learning how to take care of yourself. You can't really expect the interactions that you had back then to be very civil and adult. You have to give yourself some grace on that because as moms now, like your kids are growing up rapidly. I can't even believe how old they are
man.
now. And but we as where we are now, we can afford to sit back and say, oh, we should have done that differently. We were just in it. We
Right,
were in it every
right,
single day doing the very best we could. And then on top of everything, we were expected to be experts on this disability that was brand new to us.
hmm,
So I could say that over the years, like I didn't know anybody. There wasn't anyone before Kai in my life or anyone that I met
right.
who was on the spectrum.
The only
So
people I had heard of was like Tony Braxton and Holly
mhm.
Robinson Pete. That was
But
about it.
see,
Other
even
than that,
then, their kids were younger than Kai, I think.
oh
So
yeah,
like
that's right.
they didn't like I didn't even have that to
That's
say,
right.
okay, well, there's at least this celebrity out here and this is their experience. I didn't have that. It felt like I was isolated really because and I don't know if you and I ever talked about this, but every family that has approached has said that the diagnosis itself was the delivery of the diagnosis was the hardest part because it's always negative. If you think
Yeah,
back, like the way it was presented to me was like your son has this neurological disorder and he will never ever not have this disability. He will never be able to communicate on this level. He will never, and this is a 2 year old they're talking to me about, right?
hmm,
And so everything about the approach was negative. There was even I have a new job now, so I'm working with and we'll get into that later. I'm working with my employer now to bring some diversity to our agency and sharing like autism and sort of celebrating it because there are these adults now that are in the workforce and they have abilities and everything. But even in
right,
the research that I had to do to draft some sort of introduction, even that research that's out there is negative because it'll start off real even keeled and neutral, but then inevitably they'll throw in some problematic description. Like,
Right. And that's what I'm trying
that doesn't
to
speak to Drew, and it doesn't speak to Kai, and it doesn't speak
exactly.
to millions of others. It's just, and it's almost always drafted from someone who is not on the spectrum and
Yep.
isn't even a caregiver. So their sense of understanding is warped, and their delivery is terrible. Like my delivery when they told me Kai was diagnosed with autism, it was like a death sentence. That's how they wanted it to be. You know, they said, oh, your child is never going to be able to do this. And really, again, they're talking about a little 2-year-old boy. They're like, he can, maybe at best, you can expect him to grow up and become a stock boy at a grocery store or something like that. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I have plans for my kid to go to college.
Right.
And, you know, just because you're sitting across from me in a white lab coat doesn't mean that I'm going to change those plans that I had for him. So I never wavered from that. But I remember the glare in her eyes. Like she wanted me to cry. She really wanted me to break down. And I'll never forget. I always tell this story. She said to me, and I'm not kidding you, she said, well, do you know what autism is? And I said, no. And she said, well, did you see the movie Rain Man? And I said, no. And she said, well, anyway, he's like that. And she said it just like that. Well, anyway,
Were you in North Carolina?
Yes.
Okay, so that explains a lot because these Southern doctors and some of these Southern people, they just kind of like it. Just
But
it's
see,
crazy.
if you listen to like Holly Robinson speak, a lot of celebrities they too had similar experiences. I don't know anyone whose diagnosis or the delivery of it was something that was positive. It was always on the it leaned on the negative, and so you as a parent are just not only left to kind of pick up and redirect or shift in your the way that you are planning to raise your child and the plans you have for their future, but now the only words you have in your head are negative. So it really it takes a lot. And I remember you calling me that night, and I prayed for you so hard that night because I was like, I know what she's going through, and I know what she's feeling like. Like that, it's a gut punch because you weren't planning for it. It's almost like a double-edged sword because I was relieved. I always knew there was something,
I
but
was
I didn't
relieved
know what it
too.
was.
I definitely was relieved, and mine was different because his was his school psychologist because I begged him to do the assessment. Oh, y'all, I'm a so Mo, I need y'all to ask some questions. This is my grandma, and she ain't gonna go well if I don't answer this phone.
So I have a question.
Sure.
I've tried to do a little bit of research,
Mm-hmm.
and I noticed the word spectrum pops up a lot. So in what I've read, I've seen that the spectrum is like 3 different parts of the spectrum.
It can have mmany different parts. So, like,
Okay.
there are adults today. If you can imagine being in your 40s, you've gone through your entire life, 40 years, and you are just diagnosed with autism. There are people, adults to this day, that are still being diagnosed as grown adults, men and women. So the spectrum can be it's sort of it's a broad scope of people who I guess on one end are they don't have the skills that would allow them to be verbal. Some and those people they're still able to function and be part of society and live sort of I don't want to say normal lives, but kind of close to what we can live, but they rely on devices to help them communicate. And then you have people like you might hear about like Bill Gates, you know, and Elon Musk. He just
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
when you think about autism, there's the picture that of a child or man or woman who is not able to communicate, and they struggle with that. And then you have someone like Elon Musk. So anyone can fall anywhere between those two examples.
Right. I already saw a lot of people, a lot of, like I looked up celebrities
Hmm.
about a week ago, and there was
Yeah,
like
We did.
ton of
people you would
Robin
recommend.
Williams, Albert Einstein,
Yeah,
all of those people. And I'm like, these people were like genius in what they did. You know what I mean? And I would always thought like before seeing that and looking up a couple of things, I always thought like autism was uh, kind of like uh, maybe like a more serious ADHD or something like attention deficit. Because I
there
thought
are some
like
similarities. Yeah, there are some similarities, but there are people, like as you found in your research, there are people who have been born with this condition, and not only do they are they able to master a lot of what you and I master, but they've surpassed the average man or woman, right?
right.
Yeah.
Kind of what makes up autism. Like Tiffany, and you can, I can't wait to see you. I swear. But we could share stories about how we recognize in our children they possess abilities far beyond what you and I can do. Like that's how I kind of knew something was going on. It's like
Mhm.
genius level
Yeah.
in some areas, but then other areas, and that's what it is. It just it's a fluctuation of where we are more level, their abilities sort of fluctuate from one extreme to the other.
Yeah.
And I,
When Drew was 3 years old, he was about 3 or 4 years old. I could not figure out how to do the aux cords with the TV and the
oh,
surround
but
sound.
he got it right. He was the
Man, he was
genius.
like, "You're doing it wrong," and I was like, "No, I'm not this yellow and this yellow and this and this. But where does white one go?" He was like, "Mommy, you doing it wrong." And I swear, y'all, he's about 3 or 4. He had just started really talking.
Listen, the
And
scariest thing is to hear your child, a toddler, recite the alphabet backwards.
yeah, man. Drew
That
went
joker
in
did
there,
that, and
he
I
took
was
them
like,
daggone
no,
cords, and next thing I
no,
knew,
yeah.
we had it blasting in the house. I said, "Oh, so now I'd be like, hey, Drew, come do this."
Right,
And he'd be looking at me like, you still do this to this day. I still do it.
right.
Come fix this right here. Them do this. He go to the hotel with his dad. He takes the video game. He plugging it up to the hotel. You would think some of those hotels be like, you can't do it. Yeah, nah, he figures it out. And
Right. And
I'm
another,
amazed.
yeah,
I'm
another
amazed.
example is like when we would travel places, we would go, and here's another example where they possess, or not they, but some possess the ability to hone in on things that we miss.
Yeah.
My son, I call him, he's like a GPS. If we've gone somewhere one time, he knows exactly how to get to and from every turn, every direction. He knows it just from that one time.
Right.
So it's amazing. So that's kind of where the difficulty comes in, is that there isn't enough understanding of this of the condition, because it the idea that I guess gets presented the most is the inability to function and communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what gets most of the attention, unfortunately. So when people like our children are going out into the world, that what they're faced with is that sort of that stigma
Right.
that
Right.
whether it be a recruiter or a teacher or someone, their idea of autism is just what they have been exposed to. So that's why Autism Awareness Month is so important, because it allows us to showcase the varying degrees of autism, and it
Mm-hmm.
allows people to become familiar with those of us who get to live it. Like I think we're blessed because you and I get to see autism from a very personal perspective.
Right. I just sometimes I get a little overwhelmed because not only do I do it for a profession, but then I come home and I have to deal with him too. So
Yeah, girl,
I'm gonna tell you right now, I really think
listen.
I think it affected the marriage. I think it affects me dating. I am really uh curious to see how Drew is gonna handle dating. Right now, I'm like, you like some girls, Drew? He like, no. But mind y'all, my son is 6'2".
Mhm.
I of course I'm biased, but he's so handsome,
No,
right?
he's definitely handsome. Like
So
I
freaking
watched,
handsome.
he was always a cute little boy, but now I'm like, okay, I see it.
And
So
he got
yeah,
the
so he may
deepest
not be ready.
dimples. Oh my
Yeah,
god. He got
no,
like this so I'm like, this man about to be a ladies' man, right?
no, he may not be ready, but somebody's daughter is ready. Like
They
somebody's
are,
daughter's
because
been
this is
looking
what
at
they
him.
do. They go to his twin and ask his twin about him. And he
Mhm.
like, she like, Drew, do you know Sarah? He like, yeah. Well, she was looking at you. He was like, for what? And I'm like, and that's the end of that. Like, I'm like, Drew, you ain't liking girls or nothing. He was like, no.
Listen, the most painful thing I have ever watched is a little girl try to flirt with Kai. And oh my God, I felt so bad for that little girl. I was like, yo, it's not that I don't know. I felt bad for her self-esteem because Kai was just like she was trying her hardest to make small talk with him. They were talking about like, those little snow cones.
Yeah.
We were at this little thing and she was like, oh, okay. So she saw her little opportunity and she took it, right? She was trying to shoot her
She
shot
was
and she
shooting
was
her
asking
shot.
him questions. And Kai was like, he's very one word answer, like she asked him something like, "Oh, okay, what flavor did you get?" And he was like, "This." He gave like a one word
Yeah,
answer, and
cherry.
so she was like, "Okay, well, here's the one I'm getting, and I like it because blah blah blah." And he was like, "Okay."
Yeah. To like,
That was it. That
right.
was the end of the conversation.
And I
So
feel like that's probably going to be part of that's why I asked you if Kai was dating and things like that, because I feel like that's going to be a part of the issue with them actually dating, because they lack that social, awareness. And they're like, you ask me a question, I'm going to give you an
Bruh,
answer.
that's
So I'm gonna
it. He asked you, or you asked him one question, and he gave you that one question. So
I
good
feel
luck.
like that's almost all men though.
It is, but it is on a heightened level with them. It is
Look
a
at better
very heightened
face.
level.
Except for me,
Look at better face.
I'm definitely not. Y'all already know I'm not like that.
Nah,
But
nah,
I
nah.
do have a question for y'all ladies though.
Sure.
Um, at any point when your sons were diagnosed, like did it ever like hit you like, what have I done? Is this my fault?
Yes. Okay. So can I tell
How
my
did you deal with that?
story? Can I tell my stupid story? All right. So um throughout my pregnancy, right? I'm from Boston. I grew up eating seafood my whole life. So that's my thing. I love seafood, especially lobster. But since I moved to North Carolina right out of college, it's been a challenge for me to find seafood. So F. Tiffany, she introduced me to these crab legs at Winn Dixie. And so we would
Oh,
go there, like I'm talking about like every week we were at Winn Dixie getting these crab legs. And it was like that throughout the whole pregnancy. And I later discovered like there is a very high level of mercury in crab. I mean, I'm kind of joking about it now, but yeah, to
yeah,
your point, I was guilt ridden for years because I just knew that my indulgence in that food left my kid with this lifelong condition, this neurological disorder.
yeah,
And so even once you get something in your mind in terms of like you being at fault for something, it's kind of hard for you to let go of that.
Mm-hmm.
And so even though there's not been a lot of studies to support that, I
Right.
did hear about it, like there being a high level of mercury in crab legs, and I just kind of made my own connections and just ran with it. It doesn't matter that there isn't a lot of research that supports that idea. It's still, to your point, it stuck with me, and I felt that guilt, like I've got to be responsible for that.
Gotcha.
yeah. I didn't have. I really did. What got me? I was a little maybe down because I didn't do a lot. Like the twins were early, So I had them at 33 weeks. So I kind of thought it was that. And like
Wow. Yeah.
at first, they I thought it was the hearing thing too, because when he was in the NICU and the bells and whistles was going off, he didn't pay it no mind. So
Yeah.
they made me do a hearing test for him, and then he passed it. But because I went to Children's Hospital and got all the tests and everything. But my thing was I felt almost like I was cheated, right? And I
Yeah, we
say
talked
this,
about that, and that was another reason I felt so bad because I was like, she knew all the time. It's just hard to get somebody to listen.
yeah, and not only that, I felt like I was cheated because he didn't get that early intervention, but I prayed for my son. And
Mm-hmm.
I know God doesn't grant wishes. That's not what I'm saying here.
Right.
But for everybody that don't know, I had two older girls and begged my ex-husband. I was like, can we please just try for a boy? I just want a boy. I want a son. I want to put this little dude in some polo shirts and some Jordans, keep his hair cut. He gonna be playing basketball like his daddy. So when I'm found out that at least one of them was a boy, I'm like, yeah, rubbing my stomach. Yeah, son, you gonna be in the NBA. You gonna do it. You gonna be tall. You gonna be handsome like your daddy. Like I'm excited. So then when I see this and I'm like, fuck, I tried to put a polo shirt on the little boy. He hates polo shirts.
Right,
He
right, right.
hates
All
polo
your
shirts. Okay?
plans shot, right.
All
Yeah.
of them shots. Whenever I put a polo shirt on him, he'll say, "Where we going?" I'm like, "We're not going. We going out. Or we ain't just going this place." Well, why am I dressed up? And I'm like, a polo shirt is not dressed up, son. But to him, it got
Yeah.
buttons. He dressed up. So all of my everything that I wanted to do, he gonna play basketball. He gonna do this. And when I tell y'all, Drew is very good at basketball. But guess what? That little nigga do not want to play. He tells me no every time. And when he's out in the and on the basketball court, he's hitting every shot. He's emulating Steph Curry. He's emulating Dame. He's
So
emulating all the shooters, and he's
mhm,
hitting. His accuracy is crazy. But
let
guess
me
what? He
ask
don't want to
you,
do. He don't
let
want
me
that
ask
social part.
when you say that he doesn't want to play basketball, do you mean like out back by himself or on in an organized
And
on a court?
organized.
See that's what I did. I needed Kai to be in something. And the easy thing was basketball because it was all around us.
Right.
I put him on the city league, like the Parks and Rec league. You know what it is? It's a sensory issue. So if you ever watch him play, think about it. There's the whistles, there's the buzzers, there's the screaming from the stands, there's the coaches and players yelling at him. All of those things affected Kai's sensory. And that's why basketball didn't work out for him.
Right. And see,
So
he it's that social part. He doesn't want to mess up. I think the first time that maybe if I was to get him on the team because his high school is they want him to play so bad.
yeah, but you got to be careful about those things that we overlook. We're hearing the buzzer and it doesn't bother us. I watched my
Right.
son play basketball like this, running
Ooh,
down the court like this because he was trying to block out all of the things that were messing with his sensory. So
I didn't get that. Drew used to walk around like this, and
yes,
his father used to be so mad. Take your fingers out your ears, son. Take your fingers out your ears, but not realizing he trying to drown out everything around him. And
and
I'm
there's
like,
too much to drown out.
it's
There's
too
the
much.
buzzers, the whistles, the yelling, the stands. There's too much to drown out. There
Yeah,
was so it took me 4 seasons, and he toughed it
sensory
out. Like
overload.
he toughed it out. He played and he engaged. But what ultimately was his perfect fit was golf.
Oh yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, so he plays golf now, and he's been playing
And
golf since he
he's
was a
very
kid.
good at it. He's very
Mhm.
good at it. So
Yeah, so that's the thing.
Is Kai dating while he's in college?
That is a very good question, and I don't know because that boy will tell me nothing. He has candid conversations with other people, but he won't
Okay.
tell me. Like he when he was in grade school, because I took some little notes because I figured you were gonna ask me some questions and I might have forgotten. But like in elementary school, no, middle school was when he first showed an interest in girls. And these were girls that he was already friends with, but he decided, look, I like them. Maybe they were not interested in being anything but friends. And
Now,
so,
let me keep you right there real quick. So, when he was in school and he was into those girls, do you feel like he was a little aggressive with it? Was
yes,
it okay? All right. Because we talked about that off camera too, about how sometimes they're a little
it wasn't physically aggressive. It was the
yeah,
note. It
yeah,
was the notes. I was like, she's not reciprocating. And
yeah.
so maybe she's just not interested, but he ignored me. He was like, well, I'm just gonna assume she needs more notes. Like she hasn't gotten on board yet, so I'm just gonna keep writing notes. I was like, that's
That's
you
not
know,
what's
but
going on.
you have to be cautious about how you approach that, because any child, when you tell them, look, you're setting yourself up for rejection, that is a tough conversation to have with any child, whether it's a boy, girl, trans, whether they're on the spectrum or not. That is a tough conversation to have with an adolescent. And
Yeah,
you know, like your words are what they're going to hear for the rest of their lives. So
yeah.
you have to be really careful and
And
strategic about how you deliver that message.
I had to be careful with that because when he was in about the 6th grade, I kept getting phone calls. No, it was about 7th grade. I kept getting phone calls from the school saying that he was he touched a girl's breast. Um,
Uh,
that he did this. So, but he said that she had ponytails or two braids, and it
mhm,
came down like this, and he touched the braid.
right,
And I said, well, you can't do that. He was like, well, mom, I just thought she had nice hair. Well, then you have to tell her that. Use your words because somebody is going to take offense to that. And now we're in the principal's office because they thinking that you are sexually assaulting people.
right,
And so I'm like, y'all playing too much. All y'all have to do is talk to him because they're so matter of fact that if you just tell them, then they like, oh, okay, all right, I won't touch a break. So
right.
you said you have to be careful with that and make sure how you're doing it. So somebody, her name is Nicole Williams. She says that she has to agree. It's not enough understanding on autism. I really appreciate you all using this platform to educate us on autism. So I just kind of wanted to do, me. I'm once April 1st come, I'm hitting the pavement. Because not only do I live with it, but I also work with it. So I'm trying to bring awareness, and even with our summer camp it's an inclusion camp. So it's neurotypical and it's kids on the spectrum that we're trying to get the neuro kids to be like, hey, you want to play, instead of having them sit by themselves. And then we're also getting them to understand that, okay, if they're stimming a little bit, that's just them. If they're talking, that's just them. So just trying to get that awareness and that understanding. And just it's been rough for me. I'm not even gonna lie,
But
because
you have to know that the work that you're doing is extremely important. Like
I,
I've watched
I
you
do.
over the years, and like you said, I have I've been um, in the autism realm for a long time. But when you were introduced to it, you took off running.
I
Like
had
there
to.
were some times where I was like, because I was so used to being by myself and being the only one, but I would get a lot of energy and inspiration from watching you.
Oh
And I
wow.
was like, that's why when I was like, I came across that shirt, I was like, I only know one person that could.
Yeah, she sent me. So our college mascot is a bear, right? And I think I was having a rough day that day. I really was. I go to the mailbox, I open it up. It's a burgundy shirt, which is our school colors, with a mama bear and a baby bear. And the baby bear has the autism puzzle, is made out of the autism man. It was so freaking cute. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like it really made my day. And that's how I feel when it comes to my son. Like I'm like that mama bear, like you can't say nothing. I had a cable guy come in and he was like, oh, he has autism, he don't look like it. I was like, what you mean
Well,
you don't look like it? I was like, what the, so it's I bring this in this form because I will say, and I'm not sure about you, Toya, but it is kind of hard trying to explain that. And if you getting into a serious relationship, if they don't understand autism, then you not only got to educate them, but you got to see if they're gonna be down for it. Not all men,
Absolutely.
not all men are strong enough to deal with that.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And I've been fortunate to see both sides of it. And the reason why I say it in a positive way with the people who didn't get it was it helped me weed them out. So
Exactly.
without autism, without a child on the spectrum, it may take you longer to figure out in a relationship that this person isn't a good fit. This way, you know off the rip, like this dude is not gelling with my kid, and we are indeed a package deal. So if there's some challenges with you understanding his ability and his tendencies, then we can't move forward. So I
Right.
was grateful for those people who were not able to handle it. And
Mm-hmm.
it didn't take months. It didn't certainly didn't take a year. It was just we're talking about like the first sign you show me that this is too complicated for you, then that's it. We don't have to do this anymore. Because
Right.
there's never going to be a chance that I'm going to leave my son or ignore him or pay less attention to him for a relationship. Like I'm with him for life.
Better that
So
sound like you right there last week.
That's me forever.
mhm.
No, I'm saying
I
that
had a
that sound
question.
like you when we were talking last weekend about the putting the kids first. Like,
Exactly.
but go ahead
Mhm.
with your question. Go ahead.
I had two questions. First, you said a term that in my common sense, I kind of think I know what you mean, but I wanted you to explain it for people who might not, and correct me if I'm wrong. When
Mm-hmm.
you said neurotypical, is
Mm-hmm.
that like closer to normal without saying normal?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
That's what I thought. And then the second part, I'm sure with the autism, having autistic kids, there's like a circle, right or wrong? Like some of y'all run into each other
Oh yeah.
dealing with certain
Yeah,
things. And
because yeah, you're right. Because there should be a network, right? You
yeah,
would
yeah,
want to
that's what I meant to
gravitate
say,
like
kind of like a network.
yeah, like so Tiffany knew that I had a child on the spectrum. And I think we share the same similarities in that no matter how well we know a person, if a mom or a dad or whoever, a caregiver comes to you and says, look, I just need some guidance. I know like you're gonna stop what you're doing to try to help them as much as
Mm-hmm.
possible because it's
Yep.
that relatability. I know what it feels like to be the only person, and I know what it feels like to have to figure it out. And there's a lot of well-intentioned people that are like, "Oh, all you have to do is read this book, or read this article, or read this, read that." I'm a single mom with a special needs kid. I don't have time to read. Like, if it's not a good night moon book, I'm not reading it right now. Like, I got
And
stuff
see,
to do.
another thing too, though, is that you you have parents that went through what you've gone through, right?
Mhm.
And with my clinic, I'm still I'm trying to figure out how I'm keeping it afloat, right? Because I give out so much free advice that
Mhm.
they haven't like their insurance hasn't cleared or anything like that. But me being that mom and just being relatable, it gives you that community sense. It gives you that autism mom circle because the purpose of me starting my own practice was because I knew it was other parents out here like me. So I
Mhm.
wanted them to have somewhere to go and ask the questions that I had. And as Drew gets older, we go over another hurdle. I got Toya because Kai is 23 and they're not going to go through the same thing, but if it does happen to where he goes through something that Kai went through, I know that Toya she been through it and she going to tell me, listen, okay, this is what happened when it happened with Kai and blah blah blah. So I it's we got to stick together. Go ahead. What's up?
But
Yeah,
see,
I was starting to question. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
I was starting to question out with that, but that wasn't the real question.
Oh, all right. Go
The
ahead.
real question was within that network or circle of, people,
mhm.
do you guys see a lot of fathers? Because it seems to me that when I see autistic children, it's always the mom. for whatever reason, and I don't know. I I remember Toya early in the conversation, he did say his dad was there, but then I just heard you say like you're a single mom. So I'm like, are there really men who step up and step forward and be in these groups and these meetings and working with these children anywhere near as much as y'all? Because I only see moms with autistic children.
That's an excellent observation. I do not want to discredit the dads that have stayed there because they are there.
Okay.
Percentage wise, you're right. There tends to be more of the females, whether it's a birth mom or whoever the caregiver is. It does tend to be more females. But as Tiffany kind of mentioned early on in this, when you are coping with parenting a child who has special needs, it brings to the relationship an extra layer of tension. And so I think just from a societal standpoint, we as women or moms tend to be the ones that take on the primary caregiver role. So you may not see them at the meetings, but there are usually some dads that are participatory. I happen to have people in my circle of family and friends. I can think of at least one dad. He is phenomenal. Like their marriage they never wavered. It didn't have the same negative effect that it has on a lot of relationships. And so I can definitely speak to at least one. Um, my son has a separate relationship with his dad. He always has. Like in fact, he's never known his parents to be together. We split up when he was maybe about 3 months old. So he's never known us to be together as a couple. But he gets what he needs from his dad. And then me as the primary caregiver, the one that he's lived with his whole life, that's where I would be more visible in the schools, in the
IEP meetings,
oh God.
all of that stuff. Yeah. And
Yeah.
I try to include my ex in because he doesn't quite understand it. But there aren't a lot of guys, even with my patients that come in, it's more moms. It's a lot more moms than I see dads. And even when I'm talking to the moms, they're saying that the dads like they don't accept the diagnosis. They all fine.
That's another thing.
I had that issue with my ex being from the South. You know, his family was like, oh, he used to be the same way, crybaby and everything. He'd grow out of it. And it's like, no, it's different, you know. So that mental health, they don't believe in it. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of hard for them to accept. And when it's your only son, you're like, nah, I'm good. You know, they start taking it personal. Like, oh man, you know that can't be. I ain't go through that. He gonna be all right, and kind of chalk it up. So that's to answer your question. It's not a lot of guys. So it ain't even like we as single women can be like, oh, I'm gonna go to an autism thing and try to meet me a man because he understands the same thing. Yeah, nah, most of them married or they not there. They're not there. So, well, Toya, I want to thank you for your time. Thank you so much for bringing us some awareness and, you know, kind of getting it kicked off or whatever. So y'all know how I do. I just want to thank you, Toya, very, very much.
You're very welcome. Anytime you need me, you know, all you have to do is just call me, text me, whatever.
We're definitely going to get together off of all of this, but it was nobody else that I could have even thought about bringing you on to kind of shed some light in, you know. So I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you, Toya. We appreciate
you. Welcome.
Thank you.
Very informative.
Look at her, very informative. Okay. Bye,
very
Toya.
hungry.
Right.
No, I'm not hungry no more.
Yeah, you was getting it in.
Shut up.
You was getting it in. But no, okay. So I just wanted to
like
that was just my
yum yum yum.
Right. Miss, I don't like red cups. But I just wanted to pay
I'm not in my house and this is orange. Look, it's an orange cup.
My bad.
I knew she was going to say that.
I knew she was too, right? So with this
Not my
being
house.
April 1st, we got the whole serious thing out the way. I mean, not serious, but we shedded some light or whatever. My thing is, personally, I just try to bring awareness to everybody that'll listen or whatever. And then it could be someone out there that is on the spectrum. They want to see, if they how it is dating or whatever. Oh yeah, y'all. Everybody look for fundraisers because all April I'm be hitting y'all up. Just so y'all know. But okay, so I gotta do a better. Always tell everybody to like and subscribe to the YouTube page. I think we got about 12 followers.
Please, thank you.
I think we got about 12 followers.
Thank
So,
you.
Ain't nothing wrong with that.
The YouTube page is Talks with Tiff, and the Facebook group is Talks with Tiff and Friends. Please like and share and subscribe and look at those videos and get our numbers up because So next week we're going to discuss the athletes in Dayton, and I have one special guest that is another one of my Shaw Bears, another one that he keep it raw. This one right here is funny. So,
Wait a minute. Okay.
I was trying to get two other ones, but they was like, nah. So I might have somebody, but if y'all got somebody, of course y'all can hit me up. But thank you to everybody that sat with us this Friday, April 1st, April Fool's Day, the first day of Autism Awareness. Again, the YouTube page is Talks with Tiff, and the Facebook group is Talks with Tiff and Friends. Please like and subscribe and share and watch the videos and get our numbers up. Please, please, please.
Did y'all notice anything?
You cut your head?
That you not
I stopped drinking and smoking.
There you go.
Oh, you stopped it?
What's that all about?
It's done.
Oh, you done?
Until when?
Yeah.
You done for good?
Until when?
Forever.
Okay.
Good for you.
April Fool.
Yeah.
Cheers. Look, cheers.
Exactly.
It's okay.
Nah, but I decided because
Hey, Mo.
based on the conversation that I wouldn't do that tonight.
Oh, well, that was very nice of you. And once I start drinking again, because I didn't drink 2 bottles of water on this camera. Once I start drinking again, then it's on. But yeah. Y'all see, I had to get off of camera because my grandma is so funny. And if I did not answer, she would have kept calling and called everybody. She would kept calling. Mo, So I was like, let me. She's going through the dementia, which is, it just kind of reminds me of everything else. So I'm just like, all right, let me just go ahead and answer this call because she's going to call back and she's going to call back and she's going to call back. So, but thank y'all for y'all time. Nick, enjoy your party with your orange cut.
Shush. Look, I'm done now. Time to go home.
Why you ain't asking for a glass?
Well, I don't do that. I'm at somebody's house.
Oh. Well, you was at the. Never mind.
You know what I learned tonight, Tiffany?
What?
That's your clinic. I actually thought you just worked at a clinic.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did. Even though we was able to use it, I thought you like asked the owner, like, can we do our thing in there? Until you said tonight, like, I forgot. No, I think you said something about the business or something.
Yeah.
And you giving out free information and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, so that's her clinic.
That's my clinic.
God damn it. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, sir. We're coming up on a year. It was June that we had the opening and everything. So we coming up on a year. But April, I become a like a beggar. I start begging people, hey, I need y'all to donate. I need y'all to do this because we got our summer program and stuff like that. But somebody said, oh no, I'm not sure what happened. Oh, that might be something else. But yeah, so I'm just trying to, spread the word or whatever. So
yeah, you
but
all right.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Peace and love, man.
See you later.
Enjoy